Hare Krishna. We can continue with the next section of chapter 82. Krishna meets the inhabitants of Vrindavan.
Recording in progress.
Canto 10, chapter 82, verses 22 till 38. We will now discuss. Text 22. Sukadeva Goswami said, Vasudeva, Ugrasena and the other Yadus honored the various kings, who became supremely blissful and content upon seeing Lord Achyuta as her. That is real happiness, to see Krishna. Now, what's happening there? Text 23-26. So all the royalty, including Bhishma, Drona, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari and her sons, the Pandavas and their wives Kunti, Sanjaya, Vidura, Kripacharya, Kuntiboja, Virata, Bhishmaka, the great Nagnajit, Purjit, Drupada, Salyadrit, Dristaketu, Kasiraj, Damagosha, Visalaksha, Maitila, Madra, Kekaya, Yudamanyu, Susarma, Balika, with his associates and their sons, and the many other kings subservient to Maharaj Yudhishthira, all of them, O best of kings. They were simply amazed to see the transcendental form of Lord Krishna, the abode of all opulence and beauty, standing before them with his consorts. It must have been a sight. The 16,000 wives of Krishna in one place. This happened after Krishna went to Dwarka. We are going back here in time. Many demons that Krishna already killed in previous chapters are still alive. Sukadeva Goswami wants us to hear about the Vrajavasis at Kurukshetra. To understand the love of the Vrajavasis, that's his real point. Sukadeva Goswami is not forgetting the Vrajavasis. Now, text 27, 28 till 30, 27. After Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna had liberally honored them, with great joy and enthusiasm, these kings began to praise the members of the Vrishni clan, Sri Krishna's personal associates. 28. O King of the Bojas, you alone among men have achieved truly exalted birth. For you continually behold Lord Krishna, who is rarely visible even to great yogis. 29:30. His fame, as broadcast by the Vedas, the water that has washed his feet, and the words he speaks in the form of the revealed scriptures, these thoroughly purify this universe. Although the earth's good fortune was ravaged by time, the touch of his lotus feet has revitalized her, and thus she is raining down on us the fulfillment of all our desires. The same Lord Vishnu, who makes one forget the goals of heaven and liberation, has now entered into marital and blood relationship with you, who otherwise travel on the hellish path of family life. Indeed, in these relationships you see and touch him directly, walk beside him, converse with him, and together with him lie down to rest, sit at ease and take your meals. Dus these two things are there. Even if Krishna is not there, are the Vedas, and the Ganga water. Even after Krishna left, we still have his words from Bhagavad Gita. And yes, the demoniac kings were coming. They all took birth. Kali Yuga is coming. Demons take birth on the earth. They are really appreciating the good fortune of all the Yadavas. We are all part of Krishna's family, and one day we will rejoin Krishna's family. And we will find out our relationship with the spiritual world too. So now, text 29, 30, 29. Yeah, we will read the purpose of this 29, 30. We will go back. It's 29, 30. Yeah. So all Vedic mantras glorify Lord Vishnu. This truth is supported with elaborate evidence by learned acharyas like Ramanuja. In his Vedartha Sangraha and Madhva in his Rig Veda Bhashya. The words Vishnu himself speaks, such as the Bhagavad Gita, are the confidential essence of all scriptures. In his manifestation as Vyasadeva, the Supreme Lord composed both the Vedanta Sutras and the Mahabharata, and this Mahabharata includes Sri Krishna's personal statement, Vedasya Sarvaram Eva Vedya Vedanta Krit Vedaviteva Cham. By all the Vedas I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. When Lord Krishna thus appeared before Bali Maharaj to beg 3 steps of land, the Lord's second step pierced the shells of the universe. The water of the transcendental river Vraja, lying just outside the universal egg, thus seeped inside, washing Lord Vaman's foot and flowing down to become the Ganges River. Because of the sanctity of its origin, the Ganges is generally considered the most holy rivers, but even more potent is the water of the Yamuna, where Lord Vishnu in his original form of Govinda played with his intimate companions. In these 2 verses, the assembled kings praise the special merit of Lord Krishna's Yadu clan. Not only do they see Krishna, but they are also directly connected with him by dual bonds of marital and blood relationship. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the word banda, besides its more obvious meaning of relation, can also be understood in the sense of capture, expressing that the love of the others feel for the Lord obliges him always to stay with them. So banda, they were captured by Krishna's love. I will now read from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, first part about the Yadus. So Krishna, okay, it's here. Krishna is now forgotten Vaikuntha. This is from Brihad Bhagavatamrita 103 till 105. That's the reference. Krishna is now forgotten Vaikuntha, for he is bound by intense, unbreakable, loving exchanges with these Yadus. He sees the Yadus, touches them, talks with them, sits with them, he eats and sleeps with them, follows them when they walk, takes part in their marriage ceremonies, and shares in their own activities of embodied life. These relationships are more tangible than the yogi's union with him in meditation. This by his pastimes Krishna spreads among the Yadus infinite pleasure, ever fresh and indescribable, destroying any desire they may have for heaven or liberation and increasing more and more their devotion for him. In the purport it is explained that Krishna did not only come for his enjoyment, but for the pleasure of his devotees. And for some of the elders before living with Krishna might have harbored desires to attain the higher celestial worlds and associate with Krishna there, like in the form of Vamandev. Many were demigods, as we have heard in the beginning of the 10th canto. The order was given, you go and take birth in the other dynasty. Some of them may return to heaven as it was there where they came from. But after they lived for some time with Krishna in Dwarka, such unsuitable desires in their heart dissolved. The demigods who joined Krishna, they had the Sakam Bhakti. They had the desire to enjoy and at the same time serve. Mother Narayani, she commented on that. She said, I heard Srila Prabhupada saying that a lot of his disciples will end up in the heavenly planets because of that. So the demigods have this desire, but being with Krishna, that dissolved that desire. So the Yadus, they lost every trace of interest in liberation from the cycle of samsara, because they wanted never to be deprived from the opportunity to take birth again and again in the company of Krishna. Of course, Lord Chaitanya says in his Sikshasya, Mamacha Mamecha Mamishvare Bhavta Bhakta Haitikitvahi. I want your courseless devotional service birth after birth. Some of them perhaps wanted to enjoy and go back to the heavenly planets after being finished being with Krishna, but being with Krishna made them lose that desire. And some of them might have wanted to get liberation. And they decided, no. We want to go on taking birth every time he comes. We want to take birth again and again and take part in his pastimes and be with him. So this is another understanding of Mama Janmani Chamamishvare from the purport of Virat Bhagavatamrita. The Yadus meditation on Krishna is much more strongly focused than the Dharan and Samadhi of the yogis. Whereas impersonal meditators fall prey to various distractions, even in their so-called perfection of Samadhi, Krishna's devotees in Dwarka, in their Krishna Samadhi, cannot be shaken at any time, by anyone or anything. Nothing can distract their meditation, because at every moment they experience the incomparable happiness of Krishna consciousness. When you come to that point, you are ready to go to Braj, Goloka or Dwarka. To achieve limited versions of spiritual perfection with dimensions of happiness that are monotonous and meager compared to pure devotional service, conditioned souls must undergo disciplines like the Eightfold Yoga process. The others, however, have purely spiritual bodies, and therefore they have no need to submit their bodies and minds to yoga discipline. That Uddhav Gita speaks about yoga discipline and how to get every kind of mystic power, but at the end it says actually they are all impediments to bhakti. We will hear in the 11th canto. These mystic powers are impediments, therefore the devotees reject them. They are eternal friends of Yogeshvar, the master of all yoga. Instead of struggling to cultivate some inward meditation, in the company of Krishna they effortlessly enjoy in various ways with all their senses. Then he quotes two verses that we are discussing now. In these two verses spoken during the meeting of Krishna's devotees at Kurukshetra, Maharaj Yudhishthir congratulated the Yadavas for the supreme fortune of their intimacy with Krishna. The water that has washed Krishna's feet in the form of the river of the Ganga purifies the whole universe of its sins. That His instruction in the form of the Vedas educate human society to the standard of natural spiritual life free from illusion. But despite his constant presence in these two forms, in course of time the earth picks up from the creatures she supports more sinful contamination that she can bear. Her glory then becomes a mere shadow of what it was. To deliver the earth from misfortune, therefore, Krishna appears in the Yadu dynasty. Just by the touch of his lotus feet, she regains her former strength, can at once shower the Lord's devotees with the fulfillment of their needs and desires. The Yadus especially are so satisfied living on the earth with Krishna that they entirely forget about heaven and liberation. They prefer to stay entangled in their relationship with him through marriage, sayona and birth, sapinda. Maharaj Parikshit prays, this is Srimad Bhagavatam 1:19-16. When I have to take birth again, let me have devotion. Let me have devotion to you, affection for your devotees, and friendship with all the living entities. Also Sudan prayed for this. This is another desire pure devotees have. They all want to be Madhyam Adhikaris, come back and preach, help all living entities. So now text 31. 31, that's 31. That was the comment of Brihad Bhagavatam. Oh, what's happening here? Sukadev Goswami said, when Nanda Maharaj learned that the Yadus arrived, led by Krishna, he immediately went to see them. The cowards accompanied him, their various possessions loaded on their wagons. There Nanda Maharaj arrived. So the cowards of Vraj were planning to stay at Kurukshetra for some days, so they came equipped with adequate provisions, especially milk products and other foods, for the pleasure of Krishna and Balaram. So their possession they have with them is something they want to offer to Krishna and Balaram. That they think Krishna needs this and Krishna needs that. So imagine if that were our luggage, that text 32 and 32 and 33. Seeing Nanda, the Vishnus were delighted and stood up like dead bodies coming back to life. Having felt much distress at not seeing him for so long, they held him in a tight embrace. We read Jiva Goswami here. Seated in assembly when Krishna was not present, the Vishnus joyfully stood up, as if their hands, feet and other limbs had regained their chief life air after fainting. So, in immediately standing up at the same time, they showed that they were all dependent for life upon Nanda. This act also showed Nanda's qualities. They were overcome with seeing him for a long time, or they were overjoyed in seeing him after a long time. Thus they embraced him intensely. Intense embrace. Text 33. Vasudeva embraced Nanda Maharaj with great joy. Beside himself with ecstatic love, Vasudeva remembered the troubles Kamsa had caused him, forcing him to leave his son in Gokul for their safety. Jiva Goswami. Having described the Vishnu's reaction in general, now Vasudeva's detailed reaction is described. More than the others, Vasudeva was completely overjoyed and then overcome with prema, with ecstatic love, Like goosebumps and trembling, he remembered how Kamsa had imprisoned him and killed his other sons, and how he had put his son or his two sons in Gokul. He remembered the previous incidents on seeing Nanda, because of recalling the great help Nanda had been in freeing him from suffering. Text 34 related. The Sanskrit. Krishna Rama Parishvaya Pitarav Adivatyacha Nakinshano Chatupremna Sasrukanta Karutvaha. O hero of the chorus, Krishna and Balaram embraced their foster parents and bowed down to him, but their throats were so choked up with tears of love that the two lords could not say anything. So the relationship, first read the purpose. After a long separation, a respectful child should first offer obeisance to his parents. Nanda and Yasoda gave their sons no opportunity for this. However, for as soon as they saw them, they embraced them. Only then Krishna and Balaram offered their proper respects. So the relationship was not official. They had so much love, unsatisfied for so many years. How can they contain it? There were no formalities. So the Vishwanath Chakravarti writes, without delay, Nanda and Yasoda embraced Krishna and Balaram, and because of that they embraced their parents and as described in this verse. Then they addressed their parents, Abhivadya, but they could not say anything because their throats were choked with tears. Now text 35. Raising their two sons on their laps and holding them in their arms, Nanda and saintly Mother Yasoda forgot their sorrow. That purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that after the initial embraces and obeisances, Vasudev led Nanda and Yasoda into his tent as they held the hands of Krishna and Balaram. Following them inside were Rohini, other women, and men of Raj, and a number of attendants. Inside, Nanda and Yasoda took the boys on their laps. Despite having heard the glories of the two lords of Dwarka, and despite seeing these opulences now before their eyes, Nanda and Yasoda looked upon them if they were still their 8-year-old children. Their prema could not be conquered by Krishna's opulences. Aishvarya was there in front of them, but they didn't see Krishna. They didn't see Aishvarya Krishna. They saw Madhurya Krishna. They saw the Krishna Vrindavan. It didn't matter what Krishna did in Vrindavan or what he was wearing. He's still their little son. In Nectar of Devotion there is a description of the meeting of Mother Yasoda and Krishna at Kurukshetra. The lower part of her sari was sweat from the milk flowing from her breast, and she was crying, the two together. Nectar of Devotion, chapter 43. When Krishna arrived at Kurukshetra, all the people assembled there began to say that Krishna, the son of Devaki, had arrived. At that time, Devaki, just like an affectionate mother, began to pat Krishna's face. And again, when people cried that Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, had come, both Nanda and Mother Yasoda became overwhelmed with affection and expressed their great pleasure. When Mother Yasoda, the queen of Gokul, was going to see her son Krishna at Kurukshetra, one of her friends addressed her thus: "My dear queen, the milk flowing out of your breast mountain has already whitened. the river Ganges, and the tears from your eyes mixed with black mascara have already blackened the color of the Yamuna. And as you are standing just between the two rivers, I think that there is no need for your anxiety to see your son's face. Your parental affection has already been exhibited to him by these two rivers. The same friend of Mother Yasoda addressed Krishna as follows. My dear Mukunda, if Mother Yasoda, the Queen of Gokul, is forced to stand on fire, but is allowed to see your lotus face, then this fire will appear to her like the Himalayan mountains full of ice. In the same way, if she is allowed to stay in the ocean of nectar, but is not allowed to see the lotus feet of your grace, then even this ocean of nectar will appear to her like an ocean of arsenic poison. Let the anxiety of Mother Yasoda of Braj, always expecting to see the lotus face of Krishna, be glorified all over the universe. So she was very anxious to see Krishna and make sure he is eating and that he is happy. A little section from Gopal Champu. This is from the beginning of the journey when they left Braj. That's interesting. In the morning, the journey to Kurukshetra was undertaken. So this is the journey of the Vrajavasis. The chest of the Braj people quivered in anticipation of seeing Krishna. They gave bliss to all eyes because their hairs stood on end and they were drenched with tears. Because their teeth clattered from trembling, their words became unintelligible. So this is how the Vrajavasis were going to Kurukshetra. Their teeth were shattering so that they couldn't speak. Because many thoughts appeared and disappeared, they were constantly in confusion. They acted calm externally like realized souls, but internally they considered everything illusory because of the bliss of seeing Krishna constantly. Their bodies became thin because of forgetting to sleep or eat, but they were always serving Krishna. Even persons who didn't know Krishna and who disrespected him went along some way. Somehow they all went to Kurukshetra, one way or another. We will later hear of the gopis, how they went to Kurukshetra. So Nanda and others smelled Krishna's fragrance, although Krishna was not present. So first they smelled him and then they went to Kurukshetra. When they came closer, Krishna was there with his royal retinue. When Krishna and Balaram heard that the people of Vraj were near, they reverted to their coward mood. Their minds melting, because of wanting to serve with devotion, they went to meet them, but they could not move quickly. They sent the assembled kings to separate camps with an excuse. All my enemies do not know that I am friends with the people of Vraj. For this reason, to Uddhav he placed Nanda Maharaj and the others in an isolated place where he could console them in private. After leaving aside those who were not relatives, Krishna and Balaram, along with relatives, went to meet the people of Vraj. From far off they offered respect on the ground to Nanda with reverence. Nanda's body began to shake. Filled with tears as his hair standing on end, Nanda embraced at once and cried with a choked voice and unsteady mind. Krishna and Balaram wanted to embrace him, but because of all the people present, they offered respect on the ground at Nanda's feet. Though Nanda wanted to relieve them from the fatigue of offering respects. Because of lack of control of his emotions, his hands could not move properly. He just looked and then he saw Vasudeva and others who said, "May you too live long." Nanda and his group remained reserved, however. The kings The kings Krishna sent away were friendly kings, because Krishna wanted to meet with his relatives only. So that gives from Gopal Champu a deeper insight of the sweetness of what was happening there at Kurukshetra when Krishna and Balaram met Nanda Maharaj. Text 36. Then Rohini and Devaki both embraced the queen of Vraj, remembering the fearful friendship she had shown them. Their throats choking with tears, they addressed her as follows. Purport. At this time, according to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti, Shri Vasudev invited Nanda outside to meet Ugrasena and other elder Yadus. Taking this opportunity, Rohini and Devaki talked with Mother Yasoda. We will hear about this. 37. What woman could forget the unceasing friendship you and Nanda have shown, dear Queen of Vraj? There is no way to repay you in this world, even with the wealth of Indra. We will read the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Sitting with Krishna and Balaram on her lap and embracing them, Yasoda's mind was completely bewildered, being stunned with bliss of flowing with tears and milk like the Ganga and the Yamuna. Of the two seated in front of her, Rohini first spoke. But what can repay that friendship, even if we attain the wealth of Indra? Dwarka's wealth was greater, but the expression is for the common man and therefore only mentions Indra's wealth. Thus, people did not know the wealth of Dwarka. It was more opulent than Indra's wealth. Now, that can read, Sanatan Goswami. How could I always remember the friendship of you two? Why? That friendship was unceasing. Though we left and went away, you always served us by sending servants to take news about our well-being, and always sending presents like ghee and milk gathered personally by you, dear to the two brothers, even though you were far away, and now, though you still live there, you have come here to stay with us. The reason is that you are the Queen of Vraj. By nature you have a soft heart full of affection. O Queen of Vraj, you are remarkable for your friendship. You have more power than Indra or ourselves. Oh, why did you not bring my son to my side for so many days? You are the protector of Vraj. If you were to go elsewhere immediately, there would be destruction in Vraj. But do queens remember the suffering people? Even with more wealth than Indra, you remember. She indicates that the wealth of Indra is even greater than that of Dwarka, because of her forgetfulness. How can the debt be repaid by offering the two sons to you? There can be no repayment in this life or in this world by offering your sons or yourselves. We remember your friendship at all times, unable to pay the debt. Text 38. Before these two boys had ever seen their real parents, you acted as their as their parents and gave them all affectionate care, training, nourishment, and protection. They were never afraid, good lady, because you protected them just as eyelids protect the eyes. Indeed, saintly persons, like you, never discriminate between outsiders and their own skin. We'll read the purport of this verse before commenting on it. As Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains, Krishna and Balaram had not seen their parents for two reasons: because of their exile in Vraj, and also because they are never actually born and therefore have no parents. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also describes what Devaki thought before speaking this verse. Alas, because for so long these two sons of mine had you, Yasoda, as their guardian and mother, and because they were immersed in such a vast ocean of ecstatic loving dealings with you, now that you are once more before them, they are too distracted to even notice me. Also, you are behaving as if insane and blind with love for them, showing millions of times more maternal affection than I possess. Thus you simply keep staring at us, your friends, without recognizing us. So let us bring you back to reality on the pretext of some affectionate words. Then, when Devaki failed to get any response from Mother Yasoda, even after addressing her, Rohini said, "My dear Devaki, it is impossible just now to rouse her out of this ecstatic trance. We are crying in the wilderness, and her two sons are no less bound up in the ropes of affection for her than she is for them. So let us now go outside to meet Pritha, Draupadi, and the others." So they gave her up. She was always crying and they had no contact with her. She was always immersed in deep loving feelings for Krishna. They tried to have a conversation with her, but Yasoda was completely in bliss. They could not. So in Nectar of Devotion, there is a list of personalities who enjoyed parental affection with Krishna. And it begins with one who feels the most affection for Krishna in parental love. And so there are 10 after another. So who is the first that someone can comment? Who has the most parental affection for Krishna?
Yashoda.
Yashoda, yes. And who is next?
Nanda Maharaj.
Nanda Maharaj. And then the third one? Rohini. Good. And the fourth one?
Devaki.
The fourth one are the elderly gopis of Braj, whose sons were stolen by Lord Brahma because they got Krishna as their child. So that's the killing of Agasur, Brahma, Moa Lila. They got Krishna as their child because Krishna expanded for 1 year as their son. So these elderly gopis are the fourth one. And the fifth one? Fifth one, which Devaki, yes. And then the sixth one are the other 15 wives of Vasudeva. He have 15 other wives. And then the seventh one is Kunti. The eighth one is Vasudeva. And the ninth one is Sandipani Muni. There go. So that. So we have, of course, Balaram has also parental love, but is mixed. It's mostly Sakya ras. And Rohini, she was in both, in Vrindavan and Dwarka pastimes. She's Balaram's mother. So that means she is almost equal to Yasoda. She took equal care of Krishna. It's a joint family. They all accepted Krishna as their son. Like Subhadra is considered the daughter of Devaki and Vasudeva, it's all one. All the children were all there together. And Pradyumna also called Balaram his father. So that's it for today. Tomorrow we will hear more about the gopis that meeting Krishna face to face. So, anything you want to share? What touched you the most of this section, which is mostly about rasa, understanding the deeper relationships of the Vrajavasis and the Yadus with Krishna? Because that's the essence of our devotional life. Devotional life means living in a relationship with Krishna. Krishna is in our heart. Constantly living in a relationship with Krishna and experience this rasas, bhakti ras. Nectar of the Born says from a different nature, this bhakti ras, as the material ras, which is sapala sukha bhogatyag. But this is continuously experience ecstasy of being situated in one's relationship with Krishna. So, anything you want to share?
Maharaj, may you repeat please the list, the order of the loving Krishna?
First is Yasoda, second Nanda Maharaj, third Rohini, 4 is the elderly gopis who had Krishna as their son for a year during the Brahma Moha Lila. 5th is Devaki. 6th are the other wives of Vasudeva. 7th Kunti. 8th Vasudeva. And 9th Sandipani Muni. That's mentioned in Nectar of the Bush.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Good. There are no further comments or sharing. Then we will meet tomorrow and hear about the meeting of the gopis with Krishna. We will also hear from Gopal Shampu, very interesting points, where Krishna will make the same point as during the rasa dance, that I'm in your heart, I'm all pervading. So when you were thinking of me with feelings of separation, I was there. But you thought I was not there. We will hear about that, very interesting, because there are some lessons for us there to take to take some lessons with us from this pastime. We will hear tomorrow. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Prabhupada.
His Holiness Bhakti Prabhu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Thank you.
Recording stopped.